Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to this week's segment of Live Without Limits. Today's show is titled Cultivating Positive Focus as a Habit. Virtually nothing is impossible in the world if you just put your mind to it and maintain a positive attitude, said Lou Holtz. Positive focus can become your new habit, propelling you towards success. But first, you have to learn how to to let go of negativity and embrace empowering thoughts. I wanted to talk about this today for one simple reason. The majority of people tend to think negatively and make a negative remarks. It may not always be the right thing to say, but it may also be something that this is what they hear in their head that was told to them over and over again, and it just becomes a repeat pattern. So what we're trying to do is create new habits in how you live your life. So how to cultivate a habit of positive focus? We've all either seen, experienced, or heard of someone who made the proverbial mountain out of a molehill. The consequences can vary anywhere from entertaining to frustrating to even tragic. The everyday tragedy, though, is that so many people continue to maintain a negative perception of life circumstances when they could just as easily do the opposite and have a positive focus. One of the most important spiritual laws of money, success, and happiness is positive focus, while also understanding that we live in a universe of duality, up, down, light, dark, black, white, right, left, in, out. You can't have a back without being in front. Yin cannot exist without yang. That duality is always going to be in everything, no matter what. Every good in life comes with a downside and vice versa. So how do we handle it? It's our choice. It is definitely your choice in how you handle negativity. The problem is that for many people, they don't want to admit that they have control over their lives, because you know what? If they admit they have control, then they have to admit that they have the choice to change their behavior. And they would rather say that it's an outside source that controls them. You'll find religious people say, oh, it's the devil that made me do it. No, the devil is inside you, and that's the person that made you do it. If you always see the negative side of things because that's what you choose to focus on, then all that exists for you at that time will be what? Negativity. On the other hand, if you choose to focus on the positive side, what will exist for you? Positivity. You and I know none of this is new, but how many people actually actively work hard to live this way? It's easy to get into the habit of seeing things from the negative side, and we start to think that's how it really is. That's the hilarious part. We think that what we see is reality. No, it's just your reality. You made it your reality. We have to remember that nothing has meaning until we give it meaning. And what are we talking about when we're talking about meaning? And what does that meaning mean to you? And how do you change those positive thoughts and give them the what you truly want them to be, which is a positive outlook on life. We control our own lives. Nothing else can do that for us. And we have to look within ourselves and find out why we are being the way we are. Is it because that's the only behavior we know, or is that your choice of behavior? But you know what? It's always a learned behavior, something that we learned by being around someone else in our family. Choose to have empowering, positive thoughts. The sound is not loud and it is not quiet. It is only vibrations going out. That's all it is. You have the opportunity to paint the picture. It's loud for me, for you, for sure. You can make it anything you want it to be. It's nothing until you make it something. You're going to decide your color, things light, and then they're light. You color things dark, and they become dark. They aren't anything until they make them something. So, what would you like to start coloring the things in your life? Light, positive. What if it turns out to be a disaster? What do? You realize it's not a disaster. It's nothing. It's only neutral. You get to say, I'm going to color it with a positive, but thinking that after this disaster passes, something good might happen. You're the one in charge up here. Your thoughts are just flickers of energy, and they mean nothing until you allow them to take on the meaning. That is why you have to choose to have empowering, positive thoughts. What positive focus your new habit can have. Now, let's get something straight. We know that it's impossible to never have negative thoughts, right or right. It's going to happen, but the question is, how long will you stay stuck in your negative thoughts? It's your habits that determine that. What's all it is? Change your habits by practicing positive focus. Move on from negative thoughts that you allow to become your reality. A little practice, the positive focus, can be your new mindset to push you toward personal development and success. And what I want to do is talk a little bit about desire. And why do I want to talk about desire? Because desire is something that comes from the brain. And what it does is it controls you. And how it does this is by having you come up with some thoughts that can truly turn your life into what you want it to be. And let's examine this a little bit. Desire is something that psychology often talks about as being an inner self, a piece of you. So let's look at what you can do and how you can change that around for yourself. Okay, so desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something, of wishing for something to happen. It's also a wish that you want something. And how do we do this? What do we think of as desire? And how do we take that and change it around so it becomes part of our positive thinking in life? How do we encourage people to think about ways that they can understand how they desire something? And sometimes you really have to use desire as a way of wanting to change and wanting to become a better person and wanting to think more positively. Desire derives from the Latin derivative to long for or wish for, which itself derives from de sedea, from the stars, suggesting that the original sense of the Latin is to await what the stars will bring. According to the Hindu Rig Veda, the universe began not with light, but with desire, the primeval seed and germ of spirit. Desires constantly arise in us, only to be replaced by other desires. Without this continuous stream of desires, there would be no longer to be any reason to do anything. Life would grind us to a halt. And why are we talking about desire right now? Because if you want to change from being negative to positive, you literally have to desire to want to be different, to want to be or have something in life. And your desire is what rules your life because it comes from the brain. And it's what gives us life and gives us a reason to live. And when you lose that desire to live, then literally what you're seeing is, and maybe I should go back and talk a little bit about, you can see it in people with disabilities, that when they want to be something more than society is allowing them to be, they have to learn to think outside of the box, and they have to learn to put forth those attitudes about themselves and their beliefs to begin to have a better life. And you're seeing people with disabilities open up and make changes to society just by being different. So what happens if someone becomes brain injured, say from a car accident, then because of that brain injury, they lack emotions. And what that does is that also affects your desire to want something, and it makes it difficult to make decisions because you lack the basis for choosing between competing choices. In his Treatise of Human Nature, the philosopher David Hume famously argued that one cannot derive an ought from an is, that is, that one cannot deduce or derive normal conclusions from more facts, and by extension, all moral consciousness is grounded in nothing but emotion. So that what he's literally saying is desire is the emotion that you put forth when you desire something in your life. And what's the paradox of desire? That we were born from desire and cannot remember a time when we were without it. So habituated as we are to desiring, that we are not conscious of our desires, which only register if they are very intense or if they come into conflict with other desires. And how does this also come into being a part of negativity and positivity in your life? It's simple. That when you desire to change, then you are open and willing to make those changes in your life. And I want to talk a little bit about the scripts that we live in our lives, that the scripts that we are giving, because often you will hear a parent say, oh, my son, the doctor, my son, the lawyer, while their children are still children and not even grown adults or not even looking forward or into working towards their degree. And why is that? Because what they're doing is they're programming their children, they're scripting them to live the life that they want them to live rather than giving them the opportunity to choose to be who they want to be. And in the book, Scripts People Live, that's written by Claude Steiner, there's a story in there called The Fuzzy Tale. And in this story, it's a family, a mother, a daughter, a father, a son. And what they're doing is they're giving out warm fuzzies as though there is no tomorrow. That what they're doing is they're giving out a lot of positive reinforcement. They're encouraging people, that they're wanting them to feel warm. And a witch comes along and she sees this. And so she goes up to them and says, if you keep giving out those warm fuzzies, eventually they're going to dissipate and you're not going to have any more to give out. So they started hoarding the warm fuzzies. And you started seeing a change in people. And a lot of change was for the bad. And you were seeing people shrivel up and die because they were not getting any reinforcement. So what happened? The witch comes back and she tells them to give out cold pricklies or false fuzzies. And that's your negativity. That's the negative things that people are saying to you. And eventually a hip woman comes along. And what does she do? She looks at what's going on and she tells the family that it's okay to give out warm fuzzies because they will never, never, ever go away or disappear or whatever. And you started seeing the family and people giving out warm fuzzies again. And what happened? It started to grow and thrive off of those warm fuzzies. And the moral of the story is you need to change your beliefs. You need to understand the importance of positive reinforcement, the importance of thinking positively, of looking out at those things that will bring you what you want in life and help you to believe in yourself. Because if you desire success, if you believe and focus on the positivity as a habit, and you move forward with your life, then you are giving yourself permission to live a full and happy life in this time. And I want to relate that back to what's happening today. And you're seeing a lot of what's going on in that, a lot, especially in the entertainment business, that now that one person was brought out as being sexually harassing to women, is snowballing the effect of what's going on. And that what people are doing is they're realizing you cannot condone this behavior. You cannot allow people to believe that that it's okay to do something wrong. That had they have not voted for Trump, and I realized one of the reasons that he got elected was because so many people had just turned on Hillary Clinton and could not see what Trump was going to do. And now that he's president, and this is a man who was very overt in harassing women sexually and going after them and having owned the pageants, would go in and watch teenagers and young girls dressing and undressing and thinking it was okay because he was never being brought up on charges. But I find it very interesting that now that they're going after all of the other entertainment, that eventually he will be getting his comeuppance. And he's literally lying when he talks to the camera and has convinced himself that he can do no wrong and that he's perfect, that he literally can lie in your eye. And he's not doing anything that I haven't seen before, because you can see even in a period that when they literally believe that they're right in anything they do, when they mistreat their children, they will continue to do it. And then it's like their head is in the sand and everything is going over them because they are not recognizing what they are doing and how that is creating negativity in their children, that what that is going to create is a snowball effect on society. You've seen so much and you've heard so much. And, you know, if you go back and you look at the majority of the people in prison today, many of them were abused in some way. And then as adults, they became abusive. It's an epidemic whose time has come to be short-circuited, to be dealt with, to be able to turn things around. So that what we're doing is we're talking here about cultivating the positive focus on a habit. And a habit is something that when you do it 21 days in a row constantly, then it will become a way of life. It will become something that you do. And if you go back to history, you're born with a clean slate to be written on. And what is written on it is the experiences that you have at the hands of your parents when you're babies, the hands of your teachers when you're in school, the hands of your coworkers when you go to work, and when you become a parent, you just start doing everything that was done to you because that's literally all you know how to do, because that's what you've experienced all your life. So now it's a matter of how do you change that? How do you turn things around so that you can begin, think more positively? You can do that with affirmations. And affirmations are one of the best ways to go out there and take a look at some of the things that you can do to turn your life around. Think about some of these affirmations. What if you could say to yourself, I believe in me. I acknowledge my own self-worth. My confidence is soaring. In that, if you learn to believe in yourself, if you learn to think more positively, then you can change your habits. And I would like to remind you that you can go to my website, and that website is the #1 personalcareercoach.com. And you can sign up for both individual and group coaching.